Good evening, America. It is 7 p.m. Monday, July 27th, and this is Queer News Tonight, the world's first live LGBTQ daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news.
Watch as we bring you these and other stories from the LGBTQ headlines. Austria issues its first ever intersex birth certificate, and Disney is called out on their poor LGBTQ track record.
A Republican governor takes a stand for LGBTQ rights, and a Canadian mayor tells a resident to get out for being prejudiced.
Later this week, we have It's Happening Out, Wednesday at 8 p.m., where the theme of the week will be mental health in the LGBTQ community. And with our host, that's probably going to be very valuable. Then our gay town hall this Thursday at 8 p.m., we will hone in on AOC's remarkable words within the halls of Congress as she fights against sexism. It should be a very lively discussion. Well, good evening again, America. It is 7 p.m. Monday, July 22nd, 2020, and it is time to queer up the news. We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight. Tonight on the world's first live daily queer evening news show.
Tonight's news about the gay community and the news from an LGBTQ perspective. Are our gay stories important to you? In headlines, politics, entertainment, gay culture, travel, religion, and more. Reported by respected anchors.
Out of the closet and into the headlines on Q News Tonight. Well, thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. We are live. This is an unedited show, so anything can happen, and you could see it. This evening, we bring you the news of and a perspective from the LGBTQ community. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and this is my co-guest anchor, David Hopkins. And for the first time ever, my co-guest anchor, Dr. Ty Hauser. We'll discuss what a doctor of what in a bit. Let's queer up the news. This evening we begin with queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in America is diverse. The LGBTQ community around the world is vast, and we bring you the bullet points of queer news for today, Monday, July 27th, 2020. We begin by queering up entertainment. Disney films have been rated a poor LGBT representation. Watch this.
GLAAD's annual report cards for Hollywood have come out, and no one has received a good rating. And studios like Disney, Paramount, and Warner Brothers actually have failed.
Despite being popular with queer fans, Disney has done virtually nothing to include LGBTQ characters in its movies, according to a new analysis released by GLAAD. In 2019, the studio released 19 films, but only 4 included any LGBTQ characters at all, and 0 passed a test that requires queer characters to be tied to the plot. Disney released Frozen 2 in 2019, and although many fans have determined that the character of Elsa is queer, the film contains no confirmation of that fact. They did include a few queer characters in very minor roles, which is better than some, but some are now saying it is time for the LGBTQ to shine in the spotlight it so richly deserves.
Yes, we've actually reported on one of the characters on Q News Tonight, which was one of the officers from Onward, who has like 30 seconds of screen time. To point out also, Disney has not rated well on this since 2013, so they need to up their game.
I'm actually really confused by all of this because I for sure thought Disney was gay. Every gay guy that I went to college with works there. So this is a surprise.
And that's a really, really interesting point because Walt Disney World and the Disney Company is the gayest place on planet Earth, with the exception of Wilton Manors in Fort Lauderdale. But it's interesting. All of the different brands, the theme parks, the television network, their other film subsidiaries are extremely LGBT embracing. What GLAAD points out is The exception is Disney Films itself, and it's time for them to address that.
Next we queer up the world. Mayor offers to find local gay hater a realtor if they'll just move out of town. Jessica Hanks was very happy when she won a local contest in Wetaskiwin, Canada, for decorating her yard. Her jubilation quickly turned to dismay, however, when she received an anonymous letter saying she was supporting the, quote, sick portion of society and bemoaning all the taxes they had to pay. Then something amazing happened. Not only did the mayor offer to find a realtor to help this person out of their city since they didn't like it so much, but many members of the LGBTQ community showed up to help her paint her fence a beautiful rainbow. On Facebook, Ms. Hanks wrote that, quote, today evolved past fight hate with love. It turned into something absolutely beautiful. And also, she noted, there was laughter, smiles under masks. There was this amazing hum of positive energy. Today was a beautiful, glorious day. We hope the letter sender finds a nice city to move to, and soon, as it looks like Wetaskiwin has made its stance known.
Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore.
True. We're also going to do another story tonight, very similar that we've reported before and has a similar outcome in Ketchikan, Alaska. Government officials, mayors and town councils are getting much more aggressive in terms of standing up, not only in terms of making things right legally, but voicing support for their LGBTQ constituents. And that's great news.
Yeah, and a big part of it comes from millennials, which, funny enough, is like me at 39 years old. We are getting to the points of leadership, and we don't put up with the bullshit.
Okay. Next, we're going to queer up the USA. North Dakota governor slams party's vile anti-LGBTQ platform. The Republican governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum, has slammed his state's GOP platform for using incredibly homophobic language in regard to the LGBTQ community. The platform claims that LGBTQ people are recruiting children for their lifestyles and that trans women are, quote, voyeurs who wish to prey on members of the opposite sex. The language used in these resolutions, which is also common on far-right websites, was condemned by Democrats and even some Republicans, like the state's governor, Doug Burgum. On Facebook, he wrote, as I've long said, all North Dakotans deserve to be treated equally and live free of discrimination.
An interesting note, one of the things that I think is great about the North Dakota governor's comments is he delves into the worst planks of the Republican National Committee's National Convention's manifesto. And they've existed for a long, long time. And while people are saying they're the most embracive LGBTQ president in history, these planks are really where the nuts and bolts are, and the North Dakota governor calls it out.
And there are a lot of nuts in that part of the party, but not all Republicans are bad. A lot of my family in New England are Republicans, and New England Republicans are very different than Southern Republicans. They aren't as evangelical. They're just small government, and I wish the National Party would get back to that.
Yeah, I agree. Coming from a small town in Pennsylvania, there's a large spectrum of Republicans out there, and so just to throw everyone into the same Trump camp is maybe not fair, but it's easy.
Yeah.
Next, we queer up, speaking of elections, Vote 2020.
I thought you were going to say easy.
We report Trump has just 100 days, actually today 99, until the election to the right. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. He has 100 days until the election to right the ship. Watch this.
President Trump faces a steep climb to a second term with 100 days to go before the presidential election. The president, in recent days, has changed his strategy in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic as polls show presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden leading in battleground states that will determine who wins the White House. Biden is also competitive in some red states, such as Texas, Georgia, Ohio, and Iowa, that Trump must win to have a path to victory.
President Trump faces a steep climb to a second term with 100 days to go before the presidential election. The president in recent days has changed his strategy in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic as polls show presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden leading in the battleground states that will determine who will win the White House. Trump and the GOP are facing a potential Election Day disaster on November 3rd if they do not quickly change their trajectory of the race. So far, it seems that both the Senate and the White House are confused on how to best do that, with contradictory messages about COVID-19 relief over the weekend as the latest example.
Yeah, this goes back to my comments in the last one. There's two different types of Republicans. Unfortunately, right now, it's a lot of the crazies who are in control in Washington, and they are lost, and the crazy is showing.
Everybody loves a nut.
We reported last week the major poll, the major July poll, is showing that Donald Trump is losing every single battleground state. Some, even Florida, by double digits. And the only place he's even close is Texas. If he has any chance of winning, they're going to have to right the ship, and immediately.
Next, we queer up religion. Evangelical Christians' latest tizzy is over Cascade dishwashing detergent and Hallmark. Watch this.
We do it every night.
Every night.
I live alone, but I still do it every night.
Right after dinner.
Definitely after meatloaf. Like clockwork.
Do it. Run your dishwasher every night with Cascade Platinum. A load with as few as 8 dishes is all it takes to save water. An Energy Star certified dishwasher uses less than 4 gallons per cycle, while a running sink uses that every 2 minutes. So do it. Run your dishwasher every night with Cascade Platinum.
I also like to do it at night, but the far-right evangelical Christian group 1 Million Moms is targeting Cascade laundry detergent for their latest breathless boycott, because the latest ad, as you saw, said to do it every night, which according to them was vile and sexually suggestive. Fear not, gay people, the group hasn't forgotten about you quite yet. They also announced a boycott of all things Hallmark because the network dared to acknowledge gay people in their movies, as we've reported. Critics of the group note that their boycotts have lost a lot of steam in recent years, and their member list is nowhere near the million mark, limiting their impact to a few ruffled feathers.
Because I'm just always surprised that people can find a sexual innuendo in anything. I mean, Al, I don't know what you would do if people could do sexual innuendos every time you opened your mouth.
Speaking, Dr. Hauser, 1 Million Moms is made up by 660 white men and 6 women. 666 people. Wait, did I get that number right? I think I did. That's 1 Million Moms. It's ridiculous what they boycott. They have absolutely no impact except to do exactly what they've done here, make headlines, and we take the bait, but then we make fun of them.
Yeah, and it's easy to make fun of because the organization itself only has 1 employee on record. So she's just the ultimate Karen. Is she like the boss of Karens when you reach the last level? So.
See, we make fun of you, 1 Million Moms.
Yeah.
We don't love you.
Oh, funny. Next, let's queer up the USA. A florist refused to make bouquets for a gay wedding, so the town decided to put an end to discrimination. Watch this.
I had put the agenda item for the LGBT on my back burner because of the COVID. So when the issue of discrimination came up again, I figured, you know what? I know that we have a lot going on in our community, but at the same time, I didn't want to put on the back burner an issue that could actually be damaging or possibly start to trickle down into our own community with issues of housing, medical, and services that people of the community in all of the minority groups will need.
In a follow-up to a story Queer News Tonight has previously covered, Ketchikan, population 8,289, a seaside city on Alaska's southeastern coast popular with passing cruise ships, has unanimously voted for a new law protecting LGBTQ people from discrimination, and it's all thanks to a florist for highlighting the issue for them. The florist, Heather Dalen, denies that she has made bouquets for LGBTQ people in the past, but says that gay weddings violate scripture. Museum curator Ryan McHale, who spoke at the hearing for the law's passing, said in response, quote, much like their pro-slavery predecessors, segregationists during the Jim Crow era cited scripture as justification for maintaining racial segregation and inequality. Queer News Tonight agrees with Mr. McHale. Well said, sir.
Interesting story. We continue by queering up gay culture and reporting, hey queens, Lady Red Couture, LA drag icon, has died. On Saturday, Lady Red Couture, a staple of the Los Angeles drag community, died. Johnny McGovern, who co-hosted the long-running show Hey Queen alongside Lady Red Couture, announced the news on social media. He said, "It doesn't feel real, but the beautiful light that was Lady Red is gone," he wrote in the post. "I love you, baby. I will miss you every day." On social media, many in the drag and nightlife communities, as well as entertainment in general, have posted tributes. On Hey Queen, McGovern and Lady Red interviewed many of the RuPaul's Drag Race alum and other talented people.
Next week, Queer Up Health. LGBTQ life and pandemic. New study finds 60% of queer men with COVID-19 symptoms hide them from partners and friends. Watch this.
A man feeling sick hid his coronavirus symptoms so he could visit his expectant wife in the maternity ward. Officials at Strong Memorial Hospital in Rochester, New York say the man only admitted he was sick after his wife showed COVID-19 symptoms shortly after giving birth. No involved staff members tested positive for coronavirus so far. The couple was asked to quarantine with their baby after being discharged from the hospital. Katie Johnston for CBS Local News.
In a comprehensive study of LGBTQ Americans, which sampled almost 2,000 participants, it was found that nearly 60% of respondents who had felt possible symptoms of COVID-19 had hid those symptoms from their partners, family, and friends for varying degrees of time. It does not come as a surprise, as many in our community are all too used to hiding things they feel are shameful, and COVID-19 is just the latest in a long list of stigmas that have affected the LGBTQ community. It is, of course, strongly against guidelines to hide your symptoms with people who you're in close contact with, as it severely increases the risk of spreading the virus undetected and can lead to numerous others being infected, according to the CDC.
Now we'll queer up the USA. Representative Speer seeks to undo military ban on trans troops, LGBTQ pride flag. Jackie Speer, a Democrat from California, has proposed a pair of amendments to major defense spending legislation that would undo the Trump administration's ban on transgender service members and the LGBTQ pride flags at U.S. military installation. Speer proposes her amendment on nearly 3-year anniversary of President Trump announcing on Twitter he'd ban transgender people from serving in the military in any capacity. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany dodged questions earlier this month on the policy, but insisted Trump has a pro-LGBTQ record. The House Rules Committee is set to meet on Monday to consider which amendments to include.
We next queer up the world in reporting Austria issues its first ever intersex birth certificate in a historic move. Austria is set to issue its first intersect birth certificate following a 4-year legal battle. 42-year-old Alex Jordan became the first person in Austria's history to be issued intersex identity documents in 2018. Following a historic ruling from the Austrian Constitutional Court, Jordan was issued a passport marked with a gender-neutral X. The court ruled that forcing intersex people to carry identity documents which force them into a binary gender violates their right to privacy under Article 8 of the European Convention on Human Rights. The certificate said other then, but now the case has concluded and the document will say inter for intersex, an important distinction for jargon. The United States does not recognize intersex identities federally. 12 states allow individuals to apply for an X marker on their birth documents. Austria is the first country in the world to do this.
Next week, Queer Up the World. Dutchtown cuts ties with Polish sister city over sustained homophobia. A city in the Netherlands is officially ending its sister city relationship with a Polish town that had recently declared itself an LGBTQ-free zone. The town council in Nieuwegein decided it would no longer partner with Polawi and announced it was severing its friendship relations with the homophobic town. For its part, the city of Puławy in southeastern Poland seems little concerned about the international equivalent of being unfriended. In fact, town officials care little of what anyone thinks of their LGBTQ-free declaration. Quote, Poland is Poland, with its own identity, its own history, and its own ideas, Bożena Kriegier, president of the Puławy Town Council, said.
Next tonight, let's catch up on all the news surrounding COVID-19 with our quarantine quickies. The first story tonight is our daily reporting of coronavirus facts, especially important to the LGBTQ community. First, let's report on coronavirus case numbers. Based on the standard acceptance of 7% of population of the LGBTQ community, the world's LGBTQ COVID-19 cases stand at 1,157,071, while America's LGBTQ COVID-19 cases stand at 307,662. We remind you that America continues to be ground zero of the pandemic. The USA is just 4.4% of the world's population, and today America is 26.5% of the world's cases. Next, we report on coronavirus deaths. The world's LGBTQ COVID-19 deaths stand at a staggering 45,779 dead. America's LGBTQ COVID-19 deaths stand at 10,499. The USA is 22.9% of all of the world's deaths.
Quarantine quickies. Parties are proving to be the super spreader event. Watch this.
Sounding the alarm from Michigan to Florida to Oregon. Parties are leading to clusters of COVID-19 cases, many of them young adults. In this popular summer spot, Long Beach Island, New Jersey, at least 17 lifeguards have tested positive. Officials are connecting the cases to a social gathering outside of work. New Jersey's governor is urging teens in the state to cooperate with contact tracers after officials believe a party in a separate part of the state led to 20 people getting sick.
In an unsurprising but still disheartening story, it appears now that one of the biggest spreaders of the COVID-19 virus is parties among the youth of America, with many not following any of the guidelines suggested by the CDC in order to ensure proper safety. Even professional sports teams are not immune to the Miami nightlife scene, as 12 players from the Miami Marlins were discovered today to be infected, causing the cancellation of their game tonight. If those actions do not cease, it may be a whole year before we begin to get back to normal in the LGBTQ community.
Quarantine quickies. Trump COVID-19 failure. Is Queer News Tonight and media to blame? Watch this.
America's youth will act responsibly, and we're asking everybody that when you are not able to socially distance, wear a mask, get a mask. Whether you like the mask or not, they have an impact, they'll have an effect, and we need everything we can get.
So Donald Trump actually did something great for once. He told his followers in no uncertain terms to cut it out and put on their mask. That's big news, and frankly, when Trump does something right, the media should encourage him. Instead, the majority of mainstream coverage of Tuesday's news conference involved carefully assessing a possible shift in tone. Is Queer News Tonight part of the problem? Instead of focusing on all of the things he's done wrong and his tone when he does something right, should there just be a red carpet for when he finally lands the plane? How to know when there is so much dirtying of the waters?
Well, DT, too little, too late. However, the story is interesting from the standpoint of, does Queer News Tonight contribute to the problem in America by constantly agitating our response to White House Coronavirus Commission, to the president and the vice president, to Republican decision-making, etc.? My thoughts are, in general, no, because we're reporting facts of what is going on, and facts win. And we've been talking about that for more than almost 7 months now. So I don't think if there's going to be blame, and it's a choice between the president and Queer News Tonight, I frankly don't accept the blame.
You know, a broken clock is right twice a day, and tomorrow will be our 20th week doing our coronavirus Q&A for the queer community with Dr. Howard Grossman. And for 20 weeks, we've been saying the same thing. It finally took Donald Trump to say, wear a fucking mask.
I'm really proud of the president. I didn't realize that it was, such a big deal, but we do report on him positively when he drinks water, goes downstairs. So these are positive. I mean, he's a grown-up now.
I'm a big kid now.
Right.
Next week, Queer Up Good News. Miracle Larry survives 128-day COVID-19 ICU stay. We have followed this story for some time about the man who fought and fought to cling to life, and now, after over 4 months, he has been released from the hospital. Here's to you, Larry, and to your recovery, which is good news. Watch this.
I've got to believe that it's my own willpower and all of their support. I believe that in my bones. I said, I promise I'll never stop fighting. And I kept my promise. My wife saved my life. She wouldn't let them pull the plug. I wouldn't wish this on anybody though. So please wear your mask. Never stop fighting. No matter how tough life gets, don't give up.
Tonight, we're broadcasting from our studio set in the middle of the World AIDS Museum and Education Center. The museum is in Wilton Manors in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
We joke we're coming from the gayest place on planet Earth.
You know, I've done It's Happening Out for almost 2 years, and I didn't think we could get any gayer than tonight. We'd also like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living, here in Fort Lauderdale, for making this set in this living museum possible. We're going to end Queer News tonight with what we call the Big Finish. These are short story mentions of LGBTQ news or news with a gay perspective. So here we go, first on Queer News Tonight's The Big Finish. Grimes slams hate from billionaire partner Elon Musk after pronouns tweet.
Look, it's a rule of life. Even billionaires shouldn't piss off their baby mamas.
He's just continuing to prove that his bulletproof glass ceiling can still be shattered.
I love that ugly truck, though.
I'm kind of surprised that she's still around, because Elon Musk is being one of the richest people in the world. It won't surprise me at all if she disappears. Queering up next, The Big Finish, we report that Kylie Minogue confirms a new album. And did the gays just pee themselves a little?
I love her music, and I love her dancers. Like her in that bathtub picture. I'm wet.
I do like the bathtub, but I'm going to go a little fangirl here. Kylie, you're the devil I know, and I simply can't get you out of my head.
Nah, nah, nah. That's all I'm doing.
We're so gay here. And you did pee a little, I understand. Apparently, one of our production people, Jared Curry, is quoted as saying, the gays are moist over this news, which I guess they would be. If my mic cuts out at any moment, suddenly, you know why, America. The Big Finish. Bugs Bunny serves high drag in an 80th anniversary celebration of USPS stamps.
It's just a reminder that the performance art of drag can be fun for anyone, even bio queens, RuPaul.
When I was younger, I had a really strong fear of personified rabbits. I don't know why, but I think Bugs Bunny gets me. We're both wascally webbits.
When I heard this news, I said to myself, finally, someone who was going to say, "What's up, Doc?" instead of ignoring the doctors for half a year and causing 4 million infections, crashing our economy, and killing 150,000 people, including over 10,000 LGBTQ Americans. The Big Finish. Drag Race's Season 5 All-Stars winner, Shea Coulee, she just launched OnlyFans?
You know, I guess that 100,000 she won last week is gone already.
I'm very happy for her, I guess, but she's definitely not why I'm going to OnlyFans.
You should
Maybe.
that tucking panties.
Maybe. RuPaul taught us all never, ever give away something for free that another will pay for. Shay is putting those moves to work now. I'm for sure going to log on to OnlyFans and see what is being served up. She likely will not be lip-syncing for her life. Clue number 1. And I guess we all know now exactly what RuPaul meant when she prophetically said of Shay's win, if you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
The big finish. Gone with the Wind star Olivia de Havilland dies at 104.
As a horror movie fan, I'll always remember her from The Swarm. Her career was long and diverse, and she was a talent that'll be missed.
A grande dame of the silver screen, she helped fight and break the studio system. Her contributions to theater and film will be long remembered.
I'm so glad you're here, Dr. Hauser, to say something nice about her, because I'm not. With her passing, so too has passed an era of film that we are likely never to see rivaled anytime soon. So rest in peace. Melanie, her most famous character, is the perceived moral center of the Gone with the Wind movie. She is filled with love and loyalty and determination. She always does the right thing. She is a very great lady, as Rhett says after she dies in the movie. He also says she is the only completely kind person I ever knew. But she wasn't. The character continually referred to black people as darkies, and she was a racist all the way through. She, at her core of character, was a racist and subjugated an entire group of people. I really wish I would have heard Olivia de Havilland say something about the world that she was watching in the last several months, but she was silent. Her observations on Gone with the Wind America would have been fascinating. We have learned in 2020, racism, America, it definitely is not gone with the wind. It's alive and well. And unfortunately for Olivia de Havilland, tomorrow is not going to be another day. The big finish. North Korea generals pose like gangsters with Kim Jong-un and pistols.
And in an unrelated news, a new study shows that North Koreans have the smallest penises in the world.
My brain can only process one dictator at a time, and right now, with the orange one taking up all my anxiety, I've got no room for Lil Kim.
My goodness, little Kim. I'm right there with you, Ty. And yet still somehow, almost impossibly, North Korea's leader may yet prove more sane than America's. This picture could be the church walk in Washington. This weekend in Louisville, the Dark Nights in Portland, and perhaps 75,000 DHS marshals he says he's going to send out across our land, all brandishing their guns. We live in a strange and dark time in America.
And that is today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Remember, if it's important to the LGBT community, it's important to Queer News Tonight. But you gotta help us. Click subscribe on YouTube and share this news.
We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines, and this is the only source of live LGBTQ news in the entire world. Your community needs your support.
You are not alone. We will get through this crisis.
We are here with you, and this is Queer News Tonight.
And thank you, America, for joining us. I'm Al Ferguson. And on behalf of Dr. Ty Hauser, college professor across the world, and Dr. David Hopkins, I understand.
I'm an amateur proctologist.
We will see you daily and tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Good night.